This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Good afternoon, and thanks for checking in by land, air, and sea. The bombardment of Iran goes on.
We're doing very well on the war front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15.
President Trump seems pleased thus far with the progress of Operation Epic Fury, now in its sixth day. War Secretary Pete Hegseth.
America fights to win, and in Operation Epic Fury, we are.
As the U.S. and Israel continue to degrade Iran's fighting capacity, more parts of the Middle East are opening up for business and loosening travel restrictions. Correspondent Richard Engel.
The airport has partially reopened in Israel. All across the region, more airports are opening. There are flights in Oman, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, some out of the United Arab Emirates. So people who are stranded in this region are finding more opportunities to get out if they want to.
Yesterday, for the first time since World War II, a U.S. submarine used a torpedo to sink an Iranian Navy ship. That vessel's now at the bottom of the Indian Ocean. Overnight, the Israeli military launched fresh attacks against Iranian targets in Tehran. Fox's Trey Ying.
Some of those strikes went after intelligence buildings, the Basij headquarters. The streets of Tehran are empty. People are staying inside amid this heavy bombardment campaign.
Retired Colonel Steve Warren says Iran is running out of weapons, and they may be getting desperate.
The Iranians really only have one punch left to throw. They want to bring these other nations into the conflict in the hopes that those nations will then pressure the United States to stop our action. It doesn't appear to be working. These nations appear to be lining up with the United States against Iran.
And there are reports today the U.S. may be working to support Kurdish fighters inside Iran who could wrest control from the ruling theocrats. Retired Brigadier General John Tykert.
Either you find someone from within to rise up, or you create an opposition force that can take over. And there's no more effective fighters in the Middle East than the Kurds.
Karine Hajar with the Washington Post.
Iran is a large country, 90 million people. There are different religious groups, ethnic groups. And so I think the real question is going to be, what is the unified mission that they're all pushing for?
Ex-Israeli Special Forces agent Aaron Cohen telling Fox News he supports the idea of arming resistance fighters.
Now would be the time, and all of that collapse could be imminent within a matter of weeks, but the pressure has to stay on.
This war has now spread to no fewer than 15 countries. The European Union fears an unprecedented refugee crisis may result. It warns if just 10% of the Iranian population is displaced, that would cause a flow of refugees not seen in decades. And Americans are feeling it at the pump. Gas prices 25 cents a gallon higher today than they were on Saturday when the war started. In other news today, a congressional committee has voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi. It has to do with the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. NBC's Garrett Haig.
The subpoena from the House Oversight Committee calls for a closed-door deposition, so we can likely expect something similar to what we just saw with Bill and Hillary Clinton, where the committee will record and then later release the video. Bondi will likely be interrogated on transparency issues related to the files release. Republican Nancy Mace of South Carolina spearheaded this effort, posting that AG Bondi claims the DOJ has released all the Epstein files. The record is clear. They have not.
Let's talk politics next. Former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper and former RNC Chair Michael Whatley will face off in November for an open U.S. Senate seat in the Tar Heel state. A lot of folks are watching that one. Cooper's hoping to flip the seat blue for the Democrats. Whatley's confident he can keep it red for the Republicans.
The American people care about our economy. They care that our borders are secure and our communities are becoming more safe under President Trump. That's what we're going to be running going on here in North Carolina.
Whatley and Cooper vying for the Senate seat currently held by the retiring Republican Thom Tillis. Texas Democratic Senate candidate James Tallarico is raising a few eyebrows over what he said about immigration, gender, and God. Take a listen to this.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
The 36-year-old former seminary student will take on either incumbent Republican John Cornyn or Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton in the November election. Cornyn and Paxton will square off in a runoff election in May. Hall of Fame college football coach Lou Holtz has died. He guided Notre Dame to an unbeaten season and a national championship back in 1988. Here's reporter Erica Herskowitz.
The man behind the famous Play Like a Champion Today sign that sits inside the Fighting Irish locker room had been in hospice care since late January. Holtz amassed 249 career wins as head coach of 6 different major college teams in his 33-year career, including 100 over 11 seasons with Notre Dame. Holtz was 89 years old.
Holtz coached college football for over 30 years before becoming a football analyst for ESPN. He also appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
You know, you get a lifetime contract. A lifetime contract for a coach means that if your team's ahead and moving the ball in the third quarter, they can't fire you. Other than that, you're free game for basically anybody.
The one and only Lou Holtz. Will have more on the legendary coach with Randy in Sports. Also ahead on the Noon Report, Tish James sues for gender-affirming care. Schools push back against EV mandate. And March Madness is about to bounce into Buffalo. But first, a quick peek at the forecast with Kevin Williams.
Good afternoon. We got a damn chilly day underway, but the changes begin heading into the weekend. A much warmer flow takes hold. Taste of spring will be expected.
All right, Kevin, we'll check back with you in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, let's check the stories making news across New York and Pennsylvania. New York's Attorney General Tish James has ordered NYU Langone, one of the biggest hospitals in the Big Apple, to resume so-called gender-affirming care for minors. That hospital announced last month it would be discontinuing the controversial program. More from Family Life's Sarah Harnish.
The program, which provided puberty-blocking medication and hormone treatments to teenagers, was discontinued following the departure of its medical director and what a hospital spokesperson described as the current regulatory environment. James ordered the hospital to resume the program within 10 days, citing state anti-discrimination laws. The move came amid mounting pressure from the Trump administration, which said in December it would pull Medicare or Medicaid funding from any hospital that provides gender-related treatment for minors. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Thank you, Sarah. New York lawmakers are already the highest paid politicians in the country, but a downstate Democrat thinks they should be getting even more. Queens State Senator James Sanders Jr. is sponsoring a bill to bump the salaries of state lawmakers to $180,000 a year. That's about $40,000 more than what they currently make. The median household income in New York, by the way, is a mere $85,000 a year. Local Jewish groups are fearful that acts of anti-Semitism will rise as a result of Operation Epic Fury in the Middle East.
When conflicts involving Israel arise, Jews everywhere become targets of anti-Semitism.
That's Monica Gabel with the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester. She says synagogues across New York are on high alert following the invasion of Iran 6 days ago.
I think the message that we would have as a Jewish community who has to constantly be monitoring our security and safety every day, day in, day out, is to be vigilant.
Gabel says acts of anti-Semitism in these United States are at an all-time high. Governor Kathy Hochul has ordered an increase in security at high-profile places as a result of the ongoing military operations in the Middle East. 2 students and a school van driver injured yesterday in a crash in Juniata County, Pennsylvania. The 74-year-old driver hit a patch of ice in Fayette Township and crashed into a mailbox before striking a tree. All 3 on board suffered minor injuries. The driver was issued a ticket. New York school districts are pushing back against a state mandate that takes effect in less than a decade. Starting in 2035, all school buses in New York must be all electric. Districts must begin phasing in those EVs next year. Barry Krause is a bus driver for the DeWitt School District in central New York.
I don't think it's a good plan. It may be good for the environment, but in upstate New York with the winters we have and the cost it's going to be to put all the infrastructure in for the charging units and everything, it's going to be phenomenal.
Krause tells CNY Central the cost of just one electric school bus in New York is close to $500,000. Any effort by a school district to purchase an electric bus must first be approved by the voters, and in most districts, the voters are saying no. Pennsylvania politicians are pushing for tougher safety regulations when it comes to the freight rail industry. This as new numbers show the freight rail industry is as safe as it's ever been. Family Life's Brian Query.
The Association of American Railroads says 2025 was the safest year on record for the industry. According to data from the Federal Railroad Administration, overall train accidents and derailments were both down around 14%. The group credits private investment and data-driven safety efforts, but bipartisan lawmakers, including Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman and Congressman Chris Deluzio, have introduced the Railway Safety Act of 2026, citing the 2023 toxic derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Rail industry leaders say any new legislation should be grounded in data and avoid disrupting the nation's supply chain. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. Sounds something like out of a Western movie, but police in New York have arrested an accused cattle rustler. The Jefferson County Sheriff accusing 35-year-old Brett Bruno of stealing 17 cows and calves from 2 farms in the town of Ellisburg, New York. Those animals were valued at approximately $20,000. The whereabouts of the stolen cattle remains a mystery. March Madness is about to bounce into Buffalo. Thousands of fans will pour into the Queen City for the NCAA Men's College Basketball Tournament. The KeyBank Center will host the games on Thursday, March 19th, and then again on Saturday, March 21st. Nick Patillo owns a restaurant near that basketball arena.
We're actually doing a buffet, a $25 buffet to get people through quicker. During the off day, we'll have extra TVs in here, and we're doing Meatball Madness, which is our little take on the tournament.
Meatball Madness. I like the sound of that. Tourism officials, by the way, have been working with Buffalo restaurants and businesses for months now to get the city ready for the upcoming March Madness. Should be a ton of fun. Sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob the Thunder survived a late challenge by the Knicks and held off New York 103-100 last night. Chet Holmgren led all scorers with 28 points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander added 26 as Oklahoma City won its 4th straight. Karl Anthony Towns led the Knicks. He had a double-double with 17 points and 17 rebounds. New York had 2 good looks at the end of this game to tie it, but both shots clanked off the rim. In Philly, Quentin Grimes knocked down 2 tie-breaking free throws with 16 seconds to play, and Tyrese Maxey poured in 25 points. The shorthanded 76ers held off the Jazz 106-102. Jabari Walker chipped in with 22 points for Philly, who played without Joel Embiid, VJ Edgecombe, and Paul George. For Utah, they have now dropped 7 in a row. The Hornets beat the Celtics 118-89. Portland topped the Grizzlies 122-114. The Hawks were 131-113 winners over the Bucks, and the Clippers dominated Indiana 130-107. On the ice, the Islanders scored first, but then it was all Anaheim. The Ducks got a pair of goals from Cutter Gauthier, and they went on to a 5-1 victory. Vegas, New Jersey, Carolina, and St. Louis also skated to wins. Finally this. Former Notre Dame football coaching legend Lou Holtz has passed away at the age of 89. Holtz won the national championship while coaching at Notre Dame from 1986 to 96. He also coached at 5 other schools and spent one season in the NFL as the head coach of the New York Jets. That's a look at sports.
All right, Randy, I did not know that. Thank you very much. And still to come on the Noon Report. Caffeine consumption in kids. It's a big problem. War widens in the Middle East and efforts to get Americans home from the Middle East.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Well, Gen Z is the least religious cohort in American history. 43% of this generation, that was born roughly between 1996 and 2012, identify as religious nones. While there have been many reports since Charlie Kirk's assassination that indicate increased interest in religion and increased church attendance, according to statistician Ryan Burge, there's not yet statistical evidence of religious revival among young people. There is, however, ample evidence that Zoomers are looking for meaning and willing to reconsider religion. Specifically, though these trends may not be yet large enough to be captured in statistics, there seems to be a growing interest in more rigorous forms of faith. In a recent article in Tablet magazine, Ani Wilczynski, a Zoomer herself, explained the phenomenon. While acknowledging that Gen Z is less religious than previous generations, Wilczynski researched those that were bucking the trend, including converts to Islam, Jews becoming more observant, Latin Mass Catholics, Orthodox Christians, and others who have been joining stricter, more traditional religious groups. According to Wilczynski, Gen Z has been raised with, and I quote, the illusion of infinite horizons. They grew up, quoting again, without sturdy institutions or fulfilling rites of passage. As a result, for this generation, everything, career, identity, relationships, unfolds as a series of self-directed experiments, something that has been labeled liquid modernity. Sociologist Zygmunt Bauman coined that phrase to describe the experience of life as unstable and non-permanent, without fixed distinctions, and with no foundations for cultivating identity. The experience of liquid modernity is why, Wilczynski thinks, the ideological capture of Gen Z has been so comprehensive. For example, nearly 1/4 of that generation identifies as LGBTQ. That's up nearly 20 points from previous ones. Ideology gives the illusion of a solid cause. It offers a replacement purpose for life, where otherwise there is none. Now, of course, that's the role that religion traditionally played in Western culture. As Wilczynski noted in her article, the draw of religion is that it provides a firm source of virtue and belonging, focus, and a sense of permanence. That's what the Zoomers, who are exploring more demanding forms of faith of all kinds, are most likely seeking. As Wilczynski put it, and I quote, these faiths don't adapt to the age. They expect the age to conform to them. Their rituals inconvenience. Their authorities override preference. Their truths don't negotiate. In a society allergic to absolutes, that refusal to dilute themselves holds a powerful magnetism, end quote. The church has to be countercultural. It has to be unapologetic about even the weird things that we believe. We have to be unafraid to ask for serious commitment from people looking to follow Christ. It needs to explore the depths of the gospel, how the gospel explains all of life and its meaning, and the hard truths that it proclaims about the human condition, rather than only offer shallow therapeutic or pragmatic applications of it. A church that offers that kind of depth will not only be able to counter the destructive ideologies that are vying for all generations today, they'll also be able to offer the meaning and stability to a generation that is looking for both. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint. Today's Breakpoint was co-authored by Dr. Glenn Sunshine, and a special thank you to Joanne of Minneapolis for being a Cornerstone Monthly Partner of the Colson Center. You help make this episode of Breakpoint possible. For more resources or to share this commentary with others, go to colsoncenter.org/radio.
Thanks, John. Outside next, Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life forecast for this afternoon. Cloudy with periods of rain, some fog as well. Come tonight, that rain could start to freeze on some surfaces. Temperatures today peak at the mid-30s near Lake Ontario to the mid-50s in parts of western Pennsylvania. Low temperatures tonight, low 30s near Lake Ontario to the upper 40s in western Pennsylvania. Tomorrow, mild day, cloudy. A couple of morning showers and some drizzle. High temps, mid-40s to the mid-50s. Warm on Saturday with some showers, though, by the afternoon. High temperatures Saturday in the 60s to near 70.
All right, won't that be nice? Thank you, Kevin. This is the Noon Report. I'm your host, Bob Price, and a lot to get to Thursday, the 5th of March. It's day 6 of Operation Epic Fury, and the impact of the U.S.-Israeli military strikes is being felt in Iran and beyond. Correspondent Richard Engel.
Less than 1 week in, and already at least 15 countries have seen strikes against their territory, from the Mediterranean to southern Europe to the Persian Gulf. And the Trump administration says the most intense phase hasn't even started yet.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv says the Iranian regime's been weakened considerably since the start of major combat operations on Saturday.
We do know that they are losing their ability to launch more ballistic missiles. Despite the fact sirens are sounding, these barrages are much smaller. And as a result, Israel's Homefront Command changed their guidelines from essential activity to limited activity. This means that people will be able to gather in groups of 50 or less, and they'll be able to see friends and family and leave their houses in a way maybe that they haven't done before as a result of this conflict.
Thousands of Americans remain stranded throughout the Middle East. Reporter Keir Simmons has that part of the story.
The State Department saying overnight the first charter flights are starting to take off amid a widespread airspace lockdown.
There is some commercial flights that are taking off intermittently from these countries, and we plan to get Americans on board as quickly as possible.
To get a seat on a flight, Americans are told to call a hotline. But these twins from New Jersey say it's frustrating.
We've tried calling the embassy. We've tried calling the U.S. government. I never thought in my life that I would be in a war zone.
The U.S. says it's working to get everyone out and even using space on military planes along with the charters.
Meantime, on Capitol Hill, the U.S. Senate last night rejected a war powers resolution that would have reined in the president's authority to continue military action against Iran. Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal.
This widening war, I fear, puts us on the precipice of American troops on the ground. American sons and daughters will be in harm's way.
Yesterday, for the first time since 1980, an Israeli fighter jet got into a dogfight with an Iranian warplane before shooting it down in the skies over Tehran. And for the first time since World War II, a U.S. submarine used a torpedo to sink an enemy ship at sea. That Iranian warship is now at the bottom of the Indian Ocean. A Texas judge refusing to shut down Camp Mystic in the Texas Hill Country. That is where 25 girls and a couple of counselors died in flash flooding last 4th of July.
While the camp won't be shut down, the judge did order the owners not to alter or demolish the cabins where campers were housed during the floods.
Correspondent Cammie McCormick says the Christian camp is being sued by the families of several of the girls killed in the catastrophic flooding. They argue Camp Mystic failed in its emergency response. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. is calling out coffee giants like Dunkin' and Starbucks. He wants them to reveal safety data, proving their sugary drinks are safe to consume.
Show that it's okay for a teenage girl to drink an iced coffee with 115 grams of sugar in it.
CBS's medical correspondent, Dr. Celine Gounder, says the health secretary has a point here.
Making water the default beverage in kids' meals instead of soda and improving beverage options in schools could really make a big difference. Many of us develop our drinking and our eating habits as kids.
The governor of Massachusetts, where Dunkin' is headquartered, is taking issue with Secretary Kennedy's concerns over the rate of coffee consumption in teens today. More than 8 in 10 teens today routinely consume caffeinated beverages. Scientists say weight loss drugs may help battle addiction. Yeah, weight loss drugs. Correspondent Vicki Barker.
major study published in the British Medical Journal suggests the same drugs now used to fight obesity also lower cravings in people dependent on alcohol, cannabis, and opioids. And they also protect non-addicts from falling into any form of substance abuse. Cravings for drugs or alcohol seem to follow the same brain pathways as cravings for food, suggesting the same treatment works for both.
And the sports world is remembering the late, great college football coach Lou Holtz. The Hall of Famer died yesterday at his home in Florida. He was 89.
Holtz operated under the mantra that football is about more than a game. It's also about character. His 3 rules: do the right thing, do the best you can, and always show people you care.
NBC's Tom Yamas says Holtz guided the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to a perfect season in 1988 and coached college football for over 30 years. He later became a football analyst for ESPN. You're tuned in to the Noon Report, a Thursday edition on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm your host, Sarah Harnish. With me today, former Alabama State Senator Hank Erwin Jr. We're talking GAP 26. It is the Great American Prayer Revival. Thousands across the United States, in fact, in all 50 states, are collectively praying from a church pew, a living room Bible study, or even gathering together online. What is GAP 26?
GAP 26 is a national prayer effort, a national revival for the United States of America. It's all 50 states at the same time. That has never been attempted before, never been accomplished before in 250 years of ministry and 250 years of history in the United States of America. We decided that this year has to be the year that the country makes up its mind of who's going to be in control of America. Is it going to be Jesus or is it going to be chaos? We chose revival.
How did it start?
We had a group in Nashville, Tennessee, a group of men that were retirees that watched the news just like you, and they just saw the chaos, they saw the rioting, they saw the crime, and they said, we got to do something. So we went to our knees in prayer in Nashville, and the Lord dropped this idea, we need a revival. What if we could put together the first ever national revival in American history and have all 50 states participating at the same time? Imagine what could happen.
So you say all 50 states involved. Are these different churches in each of the states?
It's some in churches, it's some in communities, it's some in homes, just like all of America.
GAP 26 wrapped up last night, but it set records. You did have people involved in all 50 states, and the ministry of the work of this project continues through your website and through what's happening through the training materials that are located there. So tell me more about that part.
It's gap-event.org. That's gap, GAP-event.org. And we have all sorts of materials on there that you can pull down and print out and hand out to your friends and go by if you want to put together a little home cottage meeting. And we are showing people what it looks like to pray for revival in the United States of America.
There are moments where it seems as though America has lost its core belief system. The LGBTQ plus movement, abortion billed as a human right, biological boys in girls' bathrooms and sports. Hank, what are you praying for?
I'm praying that men will understand what the Bible says about men. There are two genders, male and female. Everybody has to make a choice in life. Are you going to believe the Bible or are you going to believe the culture? Culture does not align with the Bible, and it is a risk to follow the culture because it could lead to disaster, for which we're seeing all over the place in the United States of America. And it is time for the men to come up and say, for our house, we're going to follow the Lord. When we get men by the millions starting to walk out that belief, you're going to see amazing things happen in America. You're going to see the rioting stop. You're going to see crime go down. You're going to see abortion go down. You're going to see divorce go down. You're going to see happy families. A whole new era of freedom and joy and peace and happiness can come to the United States of America just by beginning to walk out what you believe in the Bible.
What's the goal of GAP 26?
to have a national revival where America makes up its mind exactly what it believes about Jesus. This is 2026, the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. It is an anniversary that is going to set the agenda for the next 250 years. This year is not like any year ever before in our history. Our country is troubled. Our country is divided. 2026, I believe, has been divinely set up for a year of decision where the United States of America has to make up its mind who's going to be in control of our country. It's not going to be Republican or Democrat. It's going to be, are we going to let Jesus be in control of it, or are we going to let chaos be in control of it? One of the two is going to win in 2026. And however we go in this year will determine the future. Amazing things happen when you turn and you start walking toward Jesus. Head to the cross. That's the safety. And if we get millions of people with that same determination to walk toward Jesus and follow him, we're going to have a brand new country, and it's going to be awesome. And that's GAP 26.
Learn more at gap-event.org.
Thank you, Sarah. The name of the program, Faith Under Fire. It comes your way every Thursday during the Noon Report or online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We've got a damp, chilly day underway. Changes are going to be few in that pattern into tonight. But the changes begin heading into the weekend. A much warmer flow takes hold. Taste of spring will be expected. But for this afternoon into tonight, cloudy with periods of rain, some fog as well. Now, come tonight, that rain could start to freeze on some surfaces near Lake Ontario between Niagara Falls and Rochester. Temperatures today peak at the mid-30s near Lake Ontario to the mid-50s in parts of western Pennsylvania. Low temperatures tonight, low 30s near Lake Ontario to the upper 40s in western Pennsylvania. Tomorrow, mild day, cloudy. A couple of morning showers and some drizzle. High temps, mid-40s to the mid-50s. And warm on Saturday with some showers, though, by the afternoon. High temperatures Saturday in the 60s to near 70.
All right, Kevin Williams, thank you very much. Finally, at noon today, it's a day for snackers who don't mind orange fingers. Here's reporter Bree Tennis.
It's National Cheese Doodle Day, celebrating the not found in nature orange cheddar-coated snack. We've been eating them since the 50s. They're actually a mistake created by an animal feed machine that was processing cornmeal. Someone baked them and covered them in cheese, and a snack was made. Your mission today is easy. Open a bag and don't stop eating until you've achieved full Cheetle. That's when your fingers turn orange. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, learned a new word today, Cheetle. Thank you very much, Bree. And that's our world, folks. The world we live in. Thursday, the 5th day of March, 2026. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.